Thanks so much for tuning in to Talking Point. I'm your host, Neeraj Shah, and the Talking Point today are the views of Mr. CK Venkataraman. He's the MD of Titan. They came out with a quarter which arguably stood out on a day when there were seven nifty numbers that came out in a week, which was besieged with these numbers. And thankfully, on the operational front as well, we managed to see Titan roll out an August performance in the month of October. Let's get him in to talk about how he saw the quarter go by, what are the pulls and pressures, and the outlook ahead. Mr. Venkataraman, thanks so much for joining in. May I request you, if we can start off with what is the most pressing question in the minds of everybody is how is India coping up with various cost pressures? Because in your case, I saw across segments, gross margins, EBIT margins being at multi-quarter highs, many year highs. What is going behind this? And what is the general uh, how is the general atmosphere when it comes to cost pressures, both human resource and otherwise?
See, the most important thing in our case is that we began a program called War on Waste way back in November 2019. And in a way, it's a good thing that we did that because we had set up a certain foundation on this subject by the time COVID came into our lives in March of 2020. And over the last 18 plus months, all the businesses, all the functions have assimilated this philosophy, uh, really immersed themselves in various processes relating to looking at cost right from the MRP all the way down to the profit, and the ownership of cost as well as assets. So, therefore, both the profit and loss management and the balance sheet and cash flow management has been substantially institutionalized in the company with maybe a couple of hundred people across the company actually owning it, and that result is showing month after month, quarter after quarter, despite whatever may be the cost pressures otherwise because of the situation.
Okay, fair call. But you and just one more question here, and then we'll move on to the performances individually. But is there intense pressure on the commodity wage inflation side, or do you reckon, considering your base and the beta that you might have in the festive season, otherwise it is manageable for you?
Actually, the when you said commodity price, you're talking about gold.
Or otherwise. I mean, every company that
Actually,
me speak to is speaking about commodity price inflation. So for you, non-jewelry, is there some serious commodity price inflation?
no, nothing really that we have seen that we cannot deal with. And jewelry anyway is a pass-through
Of course.
commodity, so there is no issue. So there is no input cost pressure that we are perceiving in our company.
Okay, not on the wage side, not on the input cost side. Great. Let's talk about the numbers, and tell us, one, the performance of the jewelry segment. I reckon the best might be yet to come, but also give us a flavor of how did it spread out between tier one and tier two. And I believe that, I mean, after doing all the new initiatives that you did, which was call people at the appointed time during COVID, the brand loyalty must have only gone up, which must have aided.
Yeah, multiple things actually aided. One was, of course, the continuing emphasis on the safety standards in our stores was actually relentless because we didn't let our guard down at all. And all the stores of Titan Company were perceived by customers to be the safest in the category, and that helped. The digital transformation journey that we started in first quarter of FY21 just kept ramping up and up, and all the people involved, particularly in the customer side, in the stores and otherwise, embraced all aspects of digital, and of course, it became a very big digital machine operating with a lot of efficiency, effectiveness, as well as heart and connection with customers. So that was the second big thing. The third, of course, was the innovative approaches deployed by all the divisions of the company, and of course by Carrot Lane as a subsidiary in providing very, very exciting triggers for customers to purchase our products, even in these times of apparent low socializing, because we're a company which creates products which are part of dressing up. And when socializing was continuing to be low, if not at its lowest, it was a challenge. But I think the innovation in terms of products, innovation in terms of marketing efforts was the other part of it. And I think what also helped in some of the categories was an acceleration in the formalizing, for example, in the jewelry industry, both from customer trust point of view as well as supply chain and financial constraints that some of the local jewelers must have faced, helped accelerate the formalizing of the industry, which was sort of a top up for the performance of the jewelry division as well.
It wasn't as big an issue for you, supply chain issues?
No, not really, because we are a very sort of mature player in this, having established so many world-class processes over last 2-3 decades. So it was not at all an issue for us.
Yeah, it's amazing, Mr. Venkataraman. The two things that have hurt most India Inc. players across industries are supply chain issues and cost pressures, and you are not facing any issues thereof. Quite commendable, really. But sorry, did I cut you? Did you want to make a
No,
point?
I just wanted to speak about the whole multiple stakeholder approach that we swear by, and right from March of 2020, how we have been handholding our vendor partners and our karigars, the workers in our watch subcontracting facilities and all that. And I'm sure all that comes in handy, when the things are tough. I think the entire support system, the vendor base rises to support the company also. So, obviously things were not that easy, not like normal times, but with a very high level of collaborative work between the front and the backbone of the company in terms of forecasting, predicting what is likely to be the rising demand week after week and week after week, and therefore the backbone being right in touch with the markets and anticipating the demand was another substantial process improvement which led to a high level of agility, which some of the other companies, what you're talking about, may have found it challenging to deal with.
Mr. Venkataraman, the quick follow-up would be there are okay, based on the call that you did, arguably, or at least the notes seem to suggest that the management commentary, maybe from the release or otherwise, that maybe the good part is likely to continue in the festive season. The demand might be strong, etc. How optimistic are you about that? And what you reckon is the next 12-month piece looking like, simply because there are very divergent commentaries coming in about consumer appetite as well as sentiment?
I'm a very, very optimistic person in general, and the Titan company is a very, very optimistic company as well. So we are very optimistic. We're very, very confident about the immediate future, the medium term, and the long term as well. I've also traveled, deep and wide across the smallest of towns, in Jharkhand, in Odisha, in Maharashtra, in Chhattisgarh, in Punjab, in J&K. I've been to Srinagar as well recently. And I've met people on the ground, families, customers. So the desire to come back to normalcy, even while wearing a mask, is very, very high. The desire to enjoy life, buy things, socialize is very, very high. And for a company with the kind of strengths that we have, the assets that we have on the ground, and the relationships that we have with 20 million customers who are part of our encircle, I mean, that's 2 crore customers, not a small number at all. So both from the assets the company has, the capabilities the company has, and the people that the company has, and when I say people, I'm talking about the employees, the vendor partners, their employees, the franchisee partners, the distributors, the dealers, and the goodwill that Titan company has with all of them, and the exceptional, for example, our net promoter score of every single brand of ours. And net promoter score, as you are aware, is the customer loyalty advocacy measure, is exceptionally high and all-time high at COVID times. And therefore, the customer's desire to shop with Titan, They consider themselves as part of the Titan family as well. So all things considered, and of course, there's a lot. Even today, I read about 7 out of 10 people want to shop in a big way during the season, is the newspaper report today, if I'm correct, which sort of confirms what I've been reading on the ground across the country. So very, very confident overall. Very excited about the situation.
There's one note which says that if there's one stock that can double earnings in 2 years' time, in that space, in that size, it's Titan. Possible, you think?
Actually, we don't really go there so much, so speculative. We just go about our work, the opportunity that we see in every business, and you would have seen the recovery, the transformation in the case of businesses like eye care, for instance. Even the small businesses is starting to make money. We need to scale up. In the next 2 years, we'll see a lot of scaling up of Tanera, of wearables, of perfumes and bags, of international. And I guess a lot of it will lead to improvement in earnings. But we are a fairly profitable company delivering an exceptional return on capital. So my focus, the leadership team's focus, is to use the financial strength of the company to become much stronger in the marketplace, to create new categories, to become category experts in some of the newer segments, categories that we have entered into, and worry a little less about the earnings doubling in that kind of time frame.
No, I'm sorry. Please don't misunderstand me as we wrap up. I didn't mean to say that you're worried about that, but it's just that.
No, I didn't mean it that way either. I didn't mean that you meant it like that. What I'm saying is that our focus is customer acquisition, growth, market share gain, because we feel there are so many things which are in our favor from a competitive position point of view that we should accelerate that, gain the share, or establish in cases where we're not yet big, and use the financial strength towards that. And in a way, thereafter, capitalize on that to get an earnings growth. That's what I meant.
Sure, sir. Okay. Well, I'm run out of time. Maybe we'll talk about the other categories the next quarter, but wishing you a fantastic festive season for business and for health and personal affairs as well. Thank you so much for speaking to us today.
Thank you, Neeraj. Thank you very much. Wonderful talking to you as always.
Thank you so much, sir. And viewers, thanks for tuning into this conversation with Titan.